ask that you would become that living flame before our eyes. That everywhere we go, every church we go into, every person we talk to, that you would ignite their hearts, that you would reach out to them in compassion, forgiveness, love, and most of all, transformation, Father. That they would join this fight, that they would protect kids, that they would protect our borders, that they would stop the trafficking of children all through Texas schools, all through Texas communities. In your name we pray. Amen.
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 Folks, thank you all for coming. A lot of people ask me why I did this tonight, why I tried to pull this together. And this is all about the kids. This has nothing to do with who you vote for, has nothing to do with what party you're in, has nothing to do with politics. This is about trying to save the children that are being trafficked across this country. And there's many things that I preach about on Facebook and Twitter, and many meetings I attend with many of you in here, that I believe impact this in some form or fashion. Whether it be books, the indoctrination that's going on in some of the school districts, the relationship we see going on with teachers and students, administrators. We see this happening almost every day in our state. And enough people are not getting involved and speaking up for these children. My bride and I have 7 grandchildren. We have 5 granddaughters and 2 grandsons. I'm retired. I could be off living, just sitting on the couch every day. But God called me for a mission. And although I'm in politics as well, this is my #1 mission. Whether it be politics, attending school board meetings, attending council meetings, there's so many ramifications of what's going on right now that's affecting these children. And we need to stop it. And the only way we're going to stop that is if we start getting engaged, getting educated, and getting involved. We all have a part to play. Whether it be making phone calls, emailing, going to meetings, there's a whole array of things we can do to help. I'm not going to spend a lot of time up here because I want Shepherd's Watch, who I invited, and they graciously accepted to come, to give you some very eye-opening data about what's happening in our communities. I am going to read a couple things to you. I also want to open this up after they get done for any questions that y'all might have. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch. But the intelligence from the intel team, I got this today.
Thank you.
We're currently tracking over 1,400 active brothel locations in the state of Texas, typically employing between 5 and 15 victims each and high rotations of new victims. Specifically in Collin and Van Zandt counties, we are monitoring approximately 112 locations. We're also tracking literally thousands of sex workers in these 2 counties. With minimal effort, we can swiftly categorize them into high-end escorts, yacht girls, independent operators, trafficked underage children, and scams. The largest of the group being independent operators and scams, followed by a rotating flow of high-end escorts traveling through the area, and lastly, trafficking and underage victims. Plano, McKinney, and Allen are the 3 highest in this area. On my phone, I've also got some updated numbers today of the escort sites of brothels in Collin County. Some in Grayson County.
Use the mic. Use the mic.
I also have some information on my phone that I got today with the updated numbers of the escort sites, online escort sites, and actual brothels in Collin, Grayson, and Denton County. Some of these counties, they stop counting at 65. Some they stop counting at 75. This is an epidemic, folks. And Shepherd's Watch is going to get into this a lot more. They're going to have a slideshow that shows you a lot of data. But just understand that we must save these children. These children are our future. Most of us in this room are probably over 50 years old. We've had our lives. But if we don't start getting involved, they're not going to have a future. So we need to buckle down, and we need to start getting involved. Like I say, after this, we'll have time to talk. We'll take questions. but please hold your questions till after they get done, so we can get them through their slideshow. Ben and Stacy are part of the Intel team at Shepherd's Watch. I got made on the Shepherd's Watch Foundation probably a year and a half ago, and have earned the trust in them to provide me information I can share and help get out there. They are a nonprofit. They, like a lot of different organizations, they need funds to operate. They do the real work. They're in the trenches. They have private investigators who go in and do their grunt work and try to rescue these kids. Please listen to them very carefully, pay attention, and let's get involved and help save these children. Which one of y'all want to go first? Stacey?
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you so much. I want to first thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Really, really appreciate it. We are thrilled and honored to be here with you tonight. My name is Stacy Montgomery. I am the president of Shepherd's Watch Foundation. We are a nonprofit that fights sex trafficking with a focus on child sex trafficking. I would like to introduce Ben Henley, who's going to come up and help me later with the presentation. And if you guys will give me a second, I'd like to acknowledge my husband. This is the first presentation he's been able to come to. Yay. And without his, thank you, without his unwavering financial and emotional support, I would not be able to dedicate my time and energy to fight this atrocity. So thank you so much. Since we have a lot to cover, I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. Please feel free to take photos of the slides. I do want to do a quick disclaimer that some of this information is sensitive, as well as some of the photos. I promise they're not completely naked photos or anything. But if you have to walk out, we totally understand. I just want to let you guys know that. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. So what we're going to cover today is just a brief intro into who we are and what is sex trafficking. Most of you guys know what that is, but we'll go over that real quick. Stats. So Shepherd's Watch, we really don't like stats very much because they're not accurate. It's so underreported. Sex trafficking is so underreported that we don't like to go over stats, but we do because it's kind of human nature that you want to know stats, and so we'll go into that a little bit. We're going to go over indicators. How can you tell if you're in the presence of a victim? And then we're going to also go over some online ads. And then we're going to go into like the investigative intelligence piece. We're going to cover predators and a brief dive into the investigations on that part. And then the summary on how you can help us and how to make an impact, and then of course Q&A. We want to make sure that we leave enough time for Q&A. Okay, so we fight sex trafficking, but we're very, very different than other nonprofits. We are a group of licensed private investigators. So we're what's called boots on the ground. We're actually in the field helping law enforcement, local law enforcement, and all other law enforcement agencies with investigative intelligence to help them find the perpetrators and rescue the victims. So that's what we do. Yes, we also do awareness and education, but our primary focus is helping our local communities. We don't go overseas like a lot of these big nonprofits. We are local. So if you do donate, which we're not going to beg for donations, maybe later, but at least you know where your money's going and it's helping your local community. Awareness and education is what we're doing today, but we also do advocacy and network services. NETAT is the Northeast Texas Alliance Against Trafficking. We formed that coalition a couple of years ago to bring like-minded organizations and individuals together, including law enforcement, into a coalition to fight the fight together so that we can share information, ideas, and fight the fight together. So we have different pillars of that, which is called identification, which is law enforcement, Shepherd's Watch, the hotlines that you call in, restoration, that's victim services and shelters. And then we also have street advocacy on the tribal reservations. We have a board of director that's actually located in Oklahoma, so we have an affiliate there. What is sex trafficking? I'm not going to read all this to you. You can go online and look at this. But the basic definition is it's the trade of sexual slaves. I'm gonna go through this kind of quick because we have a lot of slides. Okay, here's some of the stats. Sex trafficking is the fastest growing criminal industry in the world. It's reported in all 50 states. The average age of entry is 15 years for females and even younger for males. 55% of survivors reported that they attended school during their exploitation. 44% report that no one reached out and offered to help. And like I said before, it's very, very underreported. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually victimized. Over 900,000 registered sex offenders are online right now. 53,000 are non-compliant. Non-compliant means that they haven't told their parole officer if they've moved, etc. Human trafficking is a $150 billion a year industry. 90 billion is sex trafficking. 150,000 new escort ads are posted online every day. Many of those are children. And victims are reporting that they're abused by 10 or more online buyers a day. Okay, so here's the age breakdown, which is kind of interesting. So over 52% of the world's sex trafficking victims happen to be in the Northern American region. 51% are 20 years old or younger. 84% are females, 15% are males, 1% are transgender. I'd like you to look at the pie graph there. Age 9 to 17 is 33%. Okay, Texas, we have 2021 cases. The federal human trafficking report for 2022 has come out. For whatever reason, Texas has not reported 2022 yet, so all I have is 2021. But in the cases that were filed in Texas, 30% were adults, 70% were minors. 70%. I would like to note, though, that Texas was the first state to make sex buying a felony. And if you guys want to take a photo of this, this is how you can report suspected trafficking through iWatch Texas. I'll give you a second to do that. While I grab a drink of water, because thank you. Okay. Yep. Okay, I want to cover this really quick because if you guys know anybody in your family or friends that are law enforcement or EMS, frontline people, this is an excellent course through the Department of Public Safety that you can take. It's called the Introduction for the Protection of Children. And it's a great course. Again, you have to be law enforcement or an NGO, a non-government organization like Shepherd's Watch that fights sex trafficking. It's a full 2-day course, but they do it for free, the Department of Public Safety, and they will actually come to your city if you have 50 or more people that are registered, and they will do it for free for 2 days. We went to the Greenville class back in February of last year. The captain of the Greenville Police Department sent out invitations to the counties around him and the cities around him with invites. So you can get 50 people really easily, and they will come to your city. Now, DPS, when they came there in Greenville, Texas, they had just come back from St. Croix. So it's like fun times, right? Coming to Greenville, Texas after St. Croix, but as long as you have 50 or more people. However, they have on their website where there's classes that you can actually register for. Again, this is for law enforcement, park rangers, EMS, firefighters, those frontline people. But please encourage them and reach out to me if you want information on how to get a class in your city. But you can actually go register for another class online that's already set up. And you can see that the upcoming ones are February 20th in Fort Worth, February 28th in Dallas, March 6th in Blossom, April 23rd in Louisville, and June 3rd in Austin. So basically what this class does is it teaches law enforcement and first responders how to identify a possible trafficking situation, sex trafficking situation. Again, it's 2 full days. Another thing that's part of IPC and DPS is what's called fusion centers. Fusion centers, there's 80 fusion centers in the United States, 8 in Texas alone. What these fusion centers are, they're actual buildings. They're located in each state, and all different agencies of law enforcement are located in that one structure. They share information on possible sex trafficking situations. SARS. So you guys have probably heard about SARS in the news lately. A SAR is a suspicious activity report. A regular citizen can send in a suspicious activity report to this fusion center, and they will investigate it. So you can do it online, you can call them up. This is a great resource if you think something weird's going on next door, or you see something weird at the Walmart. Go ahead and contact these guys. Do not be nervous about doing that. Understand some people are like, oh, I don't want to look stupid in front of law enforcement. You can contact us too, and we'll put it in there for you. But please use the suspicious activity report program to report anything that you think looks a little bit weird. So basically, this IPC, the Introduction for the Protection of Children class, it helps you recognize if you are in the presence of a victim. And to give you guys some examples, so indicators that you might be in the presence of a victim for the general community. I'm not going to go over all of these. You can take a picture if you like, but if they have injuries or signs of physical abuse, signs of branding or tattoos. You can see that picture at the bottom right. They like to, the pimps like to brand their property. Lots of times they'll put like a little QR code or something like that on there. If they're inappropriately dressed for their age or weather. If they show fear, anxiety, depression, all those type of emotions. I want to point out the use of unusual language. We've heard of date. They talk about having a date, or their daddy's their pimp, or their buyer. They have to meet a certain quota every day. But the one that really got me was the word stable. So stable is the word pimps use for the group of girls or boys that they are in control of. They call them their stable. So just keep that in mind. Okay, here's some indicators for parents, caregivers, educators. Hide, advise, screen from others. Overly obsessed with being online. That's kind of a hard one because what kid is not obsessed with being online, right? Unexplained cash, jewelry, clothing, purses, etc. Again, the changes in behavior and tattoos. Sudden and frequent missed days of school, etc. Okay, we also have indicators for the hospitality industry and for travelers. So if you are traveling and you're staying at a hotel and you see a hotel room that maybe there's a lot of men going in and out and they're different men, that might be a little signal there that you might need to send in a suspicious activity report. A young girl being dropped off while the driver waits in the parking lot. The child may not know the current date, time, or even where they're at. And again, all those same behavioral and appearance indicators that we stated earlier. Okay, so here is, please take a picture of this. This is how you can contact the Fusion Center if you see something suspicious. Again, you can contact us if you're nervous about contacting them directly. You can contact Shepherd's Watch. Okay, we're going to talk about the online crisis a little bit, especially when it comes to kids. So we don't have enough slides to put as many apps and online games and things like that that you need to monitor. Of course, you guys know about all of these: Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Discord, Fortnite. Had anybody heard of Omegle before?
No.
Okay. People will not believe me when I say this, but it was actually set up to hook up adults, strangers with children to talk online. It's been around for about 21 years. Just saw on the news that the guy that started it is shutting it down because of all of the lawsuits from all the bad things happening on his app. You have to be very, very careful. Believe it or not, garage sale sites, Facebook, the garage sale sites, First Monday in Canton, they're selling kids online there. Okay, and then also online games. My husband and I we only have four-legged children. We don't have two-legged. I'd never heard of Roblox before. Have you guys heard of that? Roblox? Never heard of it. I'm gonna show you an example of that in just a second, but online games, breeding ground for predators. That's where they talk and chat with kids. And there's an estimated 750,000 predators online every single day. All right, it's kind of hard to see this, but here's some examples that I wanted to show you for Instagram and Roblox. I'll read some of this on the Instagram, which is on you guys' left-hand side. The pedophilic accounts on Instagram mix brazenness with superficial efforts to build their activity. Certain emojis function as a kind of code, such as an image of a map, which is shorthand for minor attracted person, or one of cheese pizza, which shares its initials with child pornography. Many declare themselves lovers of the little things in life. Accounts identify themselves as seller, or seller with a 3 instead of an E, and many state their preferred form of payment in their bios. These seller accounts often convey the child's purported age by saying they are on chapter 14, meaning they're 14 years old, or age 31, followed by an emoji of a reverse arrow, meaning that they're 13. Some of the accounts bore indications of sex trafficking, such as one displaying a teenager with the word whore scrawled across her face. So you can read the rest of that if you'd like. And then I'd like to go over to Roblox, which I had no idea what the heck that was, but I guess it's an online game for little kids. And this is a post from a mother. I think this was Facebook, but she said, "Please listen to me when I say delete your child's Roblox account and never let them use the internet unsupervised." The other day, I heard some children mention playing this game called Suscat and how they have to play when mom and dad aren't around. I was curious and came home tonight to find the most disturbing content game experience. In these sus games, you are given this sus experience. Within 5 minutes, I had a girl approach me. I was playing on my son's account and teleported to a bathroom stall. Then she directed me to open my pants, sit down, let me gulp. So that what they're trying to do is trying to get the kids to send them new photos. So be very careful. Watch what your kids are doing. Because you think, oh, they're just playing a regular video game. There's chat rooms, breeding grounds for the predators. Okay, this is a very recent from September. Pornhub executive caught on camera admitting rapists and traffickers use loophole to make a lot of money. So they found a loophole around the age verification process. Pornographic videos. When videos are uploaded with faces blurred out, Pornhub does not verify the ages of those in the videos. So we brought it up to the CPO, the Chief Product Officer. We brought it up to the CLO, Chief Legal Officer. And they're both telling us it's all good. And the CPO is especially telling us, like, forget it. It's all good. Stop. Like, shut up. They know what's going on, but they know that nobody's gonna do anything about it. So just keep all this in mind, that you have to be very careful about everything that's going on, especially online. Discord, y'all know what Discord is, right? Yeah. Okay. It was originally developed for video game enthusiasts. It's actually been found to be a breeding ground for child exploitation. They've revealed that numerous instances of grooming, sextortion, and trade of explicit images involving minors on site. You can see some of these posts from NBC News, which I'm surprised NBC News actually reported on it, but you can see that there's a lot of cases where people have been charged with exploiting minors online. All right, we can't talk about trafficking, especially child sex trafficking, without talking about the border. I know it's controversial, but let's talk about the border a little bit. This slide is about a year old. Our lead investigator doesn't really like me to talk about it, so when she's not here, I'm going to talk about it. She doesn't think that the general public can handle this type of information. I disagree. I think you guys need to know all of it. So basically, Fox News, about a year ago, interviewed a human smuggler. And this guy was so sickened by what he was seeing happening to the children, he decided to give an interview. So in his own words, this is what he said. Some buyers have very specific things that they like. So these are repeat buyers with lots of money. Certain nationalities or certain age groups. So the cartels are looking for the people going around and find them and take them. They're just going to keep them there and they will never be free again. In many cases, they want to sell their organs and use the bodies to hide drugs to cross the border. So a lot of times when children are kidnapped or groomed and become sex trafficking victims, when they're pretty much used up in about 6 to 7 years or so, they kill them and use them for their organs. Sorry to be so blunt, but that's the truth. So again, there's a very large increase in accompanied minors in the last 30 months. Border Patrol is seeing many drug children with single males coming across the border. There's videos of it. This current administration has admitted that there's over 85,000 unaccompanied minors that have been lost. They don't know where they're at. So if they're admitting that, you know it's probably 4 times that amount, right? That's why open borders is wanted by certain people, because we don't know who these people are, these kids are. We don't know that they're lost. We don't know that we need to find them. And in addition to that, of course, we're experiencing the highest rate of drug overdoses ever. So what this human smuggler said was these traffickers are making billions of dollars off of the death of U.S. children, not just sex trafficking, but drugs, the sex trafficking and the organ harvesting. All right, so this is the part that our lead investigator normally covers. I'm not an investigator, so please bear with me while I go through this. She has the experience, and we've gotten to the point we have so many important, crazy cases that we can't have her out in public. We have to protect her identity and our other investigators. So I'm going to cover this to the best of my ability. I'm going to go through it pretty quick, but it's kind of hard to see on the screen. I try to put arrows there, but wanted to show you some of the tattoos that some of these predators proudly display. They even show it to law enforcement proudly, which is crazy. But the arm right there is kind of hard to see, but it's kind of like a vulture on the arm. And up at the top left up there, it's a baby in a cage crying. In the middle, with the arrow, it's a baby in the clutches of the vulture. And on the right, it's another baby crying on the side. The middle one is a tattoo of a baby on a child's torso. Because I guess some buyers like to think that they're raping a baby. To the right, I don't have to explain that, but you can see that. Okay, so trafficking is a very complicated issue. The traffickers, they have connections with organized crime, cartels, they have a lot of financial wealth. Victims, many times, they don't think they're a victim, number one, but number two, they're very scared of retaliation, and so they won't testify. We come across not just the regular public, but even law enforcement in most cities that say that we don't have a trafficking problem in our city. And then the problem with stats, which I brought up earlier, we don't like stats because to have a stat, you have to have a recordable. To have a recordable, you have to have an offense report, an incident report, or an arrest must take place, which very rarely happens. So again, the majority of cases are not reported. Migrants, especially children, are not reported missing. Migrant minors do not show up on the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Rural areas, especially in Texas, are not included. And lack of resources and education, so a lot of them go unidentified. That's why we do these types of meetings, just to kind of bring, awareness and education. Okay, there's some shifts in trafficking. We're so used to thinking about them going to hotels and using hotel rooms, and when they use hotel rooms, they typically move their victims every 2 to 3 days. Because they know that somebody's gonna start noticing what we're doing, so we're gonna move somewhere else. But now they're starting to use apartments and using them as brothels and stables. $1 million homes, believe it or not. IMBs, which are illicit massage businesses. Have you guys ever seen so many foot massages in your life? I'm like, how many people want a foot massage? It's so bizarre to me. Most of those are cartel owned. Industrial parks. There's a lot of places that look like warehouses where a lot of kidnapped, especially migrant kids, are being raped for rape films. A lot of online trafficking. A lot of construction sites. Whenever there's a big construction going on, you'll probably see a lot of trafficking going on there. Okay, in Texas, here are our challenges. We have lack of resources, manpower, and training. Of course, the migrant children that do not speak English. We have an immediate need for emergency shelter for minors. Law enforcement is burdened with the decision of where to place minors or who to call because there's nowhere to take them. Texas needs to have a budget to contract out professionals like us that can track traffickers and victims, especially with the defund the police situation. They can barely, do their regular job, much less try to figure out sex trafficking. Recordables and victim reluctance, we already talked about that. But that's why we use a multi-pronged approach. So we talked about how victims, sometimes they don't think they're a victim because they've been groomed. The predators know who to go after. They go after the vulnerable, the poor, neglected kids. And so they go groom them, they bring them on board, they're getting their hair done, they're getting their nails done, as long as they have sex all day, but they're getting $1,000 purses. So they don't think they're a victim because in their mind, they have a better life than when they were at home being neglected and poor. So even if we have a victim that won't testify, we can probably get that trafficker on money laundering or drug trafficking. So we use a multi-pronged approach to make sure that we take them off the street. Here's some trafficking ads. I'm gonna go through this really, really quick. Here's an example of a garage sale site in Northeast Texas. These two girls, There were over 50,000 subscribers to the site, and only one recognized that this was a trafficking issue, and that was actually our lead investigator. Unfortunately, by the time law enforcement acted, they were already gone. We're gonna go through these really quick. These are just examples of, these don't look like 18-year-old and above to me. But these are online ads in Northeast Texas. Some more. Hilton and Terrell. The one on the left, barely legal Latina, who will please you. Do they look 18 to you? Here's some more. These are online, so we're not trying to like show you victims. These are online, you can see them yourselves, so we still block out their eyes, but. All right, we're gonna talk about current cases just really quick. We can't say a lot because of course if it's an ongoing current case, we can't let the cat out of the bag. But we're working on a huge case right now that's a 4-state operation in 6 cities, 4 counties. And there's 10 homes, and we're talking about multi-million-dollar homes in gated communities. Of course, the illicit massage businesses all over Texas. We have some apartment sting operations going on, where they're using apartments to traffic. The biggest one is Central Texas. I can't tell you exactly where it is. But law enforcement locally there, we went to them, gave them our packet and said, this is what we found in your area, go get them. And they said that's the largest trafficking case they've ever had and worked. We've identified over 40 victims, at least one of them is 12 years old. And that's an active case right now. So there's a big risk to our investigators. It's very dangerous work. Just know that none of us get paid. I don't get a salary. Ben doesn't get a salary. We don't have a brick and mortar. We have 0 overhead. We pay for our website. We pay for our email addresses. We pay for our Zoom account so we can have meetings. Pretty much 98% of any donations go to program services, and what program services are is going towards getting the perpetrators and helping the victims. And it's all local. A lot of large nonprofits, they do a lot of stuff overseas because the laws and rules there are very different. You can go kick down a door and rescue a supposed victim and take a video of it. Here in the United States, a licensed investigator can't do that. We can be arrested for kidnapping. So we have to go to law enforcement, provide them the information, and count on them to do the knocking down the door part. Okay, so like I said, our lead investigator could not be here today, but she gave this to me very late last night. So I'll just read this to you. This is a note from our lead investigator. Shepherd's Watch is currently tracking over 1,400 active brothel locations in the state of Texas, typically trafficking between 5 to 15 victims at each location, with a steady flow of new victims each month. Specifically in Collin and Van Zandt counties, we are monitoring approximately 112 locations. We are also tracking literally thousands of sex workers in these 2 counties online and in the streets. Ordering a victim of sex trafficking is as easy as using an Uber app or entering a random apartment or business you and your kids pass by every day. It's as easy as ordering takeout. This is on the phone. You can see all the different ads, and you can just click on it. Kind of hard to see that, but you can actually check mark, kind of like if you're ordering a pizza. You want Asian, you want Mixed, you want black. What's the hair color, hair length, hairstyle, breast size, age, ass height, tattoos, I mean, all kinds of different things that you can check. It's like ordering pizza. This is another one. More check marks. What services do you want? Bondage, latex. I won't say some of these out loud. Porn star experience, 2 girls. Here's more ads. Over 35 Latina women aged 18 to 24 offering unsafe sex in Dallas on one website alone. Okay, so these are real examples that are active right now. So these are 2 sisters. Now on this actual ad, the 2 adults that have the black box over their face, the black box wasn't over their face, we put that over their face. Because these are actual victims. Because they're in a known cartel in Plano. And you can tell by the gang branding on that arrow on her torso. Now, they did put an emoji on the actual real ad to hide the age of victim number 2, where you see that emoji. But we did put the black box over the 2 adult faces to protect their identity. No police, it says. No police. All right, this one's gonna blow your mind. Not only is this brothel in McKinney next to a school, they brag about it in their ads, and this is active right now. And they even say it in their ad, diagonally opposite the kindergarten national flag, opposite the kindergarten slide.
You awake yet?
Are we allowed to take pictures?
Yes,
Which school?
we can't say.
It won't be hard to figure it out.
What address?
Email me.
But we can find on Google.
You can find it. You can find
And,
it.
and why isn't our calling county sheriffs and our esteemed law enforcement doing anything?
Well, this question for you just a minute.
Very good question.
That's why we're around. We can't count on anybody to take care of us right now until we get the right people in office and in law enforcement. What I did not mention at the very beginning is we were founded in 2020 by our lead investigator. She's our founder. She has been a private investigator for about 20 years. She owns her own private investigative firm for 12 years. She used to be an engineer. She is a self-proclaimed nerd, but she's a badass. I hate to say, I have her loaded in my phone as badass. But I mean, yeah, we have to be very careful. And she decided to start Shepherd's Watch because she was coming across child sex trafficking in her normal PI work. And we're talking about divorce cases, stuff like that. And she realized that law enforcement has no clue. I'm not saying all of them, don't get me wrong, but we in the first 2 years after we got founded, we worked in the shadows. Nobody knew who we were because we had to figure out who we could trust in law enforcement, government, politicians, Department of Justice, I mean, across the board. So everything's we're brand new, which we're not. We've come out of the shadows now. Pray for us. but we worked in the shadows because we had to figure out who we could trust because there's so much corruption. Education system. I mean, you guys have heard all of it. We have to be very careful. So that's why we're here. We're trying to bridge that gap. There are, especially at DPS, we have the guys at DPS are awesome. But you have to be very careful. There's a lot of installed corrupt people across the board.
I want to tell y'all too that I personally invited several politicians to this, currently in office, candidates running, or than one county commissioner. So wake up and understand who you vote for.
I'm here.
I'm here. Good, you're here.
Well, and not just that, I mean, it's even parents, I mean, people just don't, they want to put their head in the sand. Our lead investigator and I went to,
Can I
Martin.
just mention?
Yeah.
I'm here with
Yeah.
the Office of Carmen.
Keith Self.
Self, yes, you should open him because he's behind us.
Carmen Rocket is a rock star. She has supported us our entire existence, so thank you, Carmen. But our lead investigator and I, we did back to back presentations to high school students in Martin's Mill. And from 11 to 1 on both days was the teacher's lunch break. And the teacher invited all the parents, all the teachers, the principals, to come and listen to our more elaborate presentation, because of course we're not going to present this kind of stuff to the kids, right? We focus on social media and the dangers. Let me tell you, not one parent showed up in those 2 days to come listen to us and talk to us. Not one principal, not one teacher. The bus driver showed up. But that's the world we live in right now, so. Anyway, we will take questions here in a second. I promise we're almost done. I'm very long-winded, I apologize, but I'm gonna turn it over to Ben. He's gonna talk to you guys in his own words because he's hilarious. When he joined our team, he started looking up his own stuff online. He's like, this sucks. So he's gonna talk about his own experiences. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Stacey. Yes, I got drugged off into this vortex by accident. I hired an investigator because I had a serious need in the family, and over the course of talking in time, they kept telling me how it was going on here. And finally, I looked me in the eye and said, seriously? I mean, no offense, but get off of it, because it's not happening here. And they said, well, give me your cell phone. Give me your cell phone. Less than a minute, says, do you want a blonde or brunette delivered? I said, what? Do you want a blonde or brunette delivered? I said, what are you talking about? Okay, you said they're not here, so I'm gonna get you a prostitute. Do you want a blonde or brunette? They're gonna drop her off at your office. I'm sitting in my office. Okay, I work for Edward Jones. It's not exactly the place you want prostitutes being dropped off. And I'm like, this is Canton, Texas. Are you kidding me? Well, I'm gonna pick one if you don't tell me. Well, I yanked my phone back out of their hand. And then I said, I cannot believe this is happening here. So they pulled their phone out and said, actually, they're headquartered 5 blocks down the road from you. In Canton. Oh, before I forget, the picture of the school. If you figure it out, shh, don't be telling everybody. Because if they find out that good people know what they're doing, they're going to pack up and go somewhere else. Now that we know where they're at and we know what's going on, shh, be patient, because we're going to turn over to law enforcement. They're not going to do a bust while the kids are there, I don't think, but just let them do it. But the picture was there to shock you and make you realize it's there. Now, I'm not a good investigator, but I've learned to spot some stuff. Oh my gosh, it's in front of us all day long. I was talking to Kyle yesterday, I think it was, and I thought, I'm just curious how many I can find in McKinney. I sent him a list, 249 girls being offered in the city of McKinney. But it's one of those apps where you go and you tell them what city you're in, and they've registered on. There's tons of these apps. There's tons of these websites. There are 4 websites, they're separate from each other, that advertise across the North American continent, and they specialize in Hispanic girls. So if you want a Hispanic girl, you're in any state here in continental United States, go to that site, tell them your state, then tell them your city, and then start plugging in what you want, and they'll supply you the Hispanic girl. I thought they're a minority. Where are you going to get that many girls? It's almost like you got some highway to Mexico bringing them up here or something.
Open border.
4 websites that traffic them all day long. It's sick. It's happening right here in front of us. Let me see if I can do this thing right. Okay. This one kind of got out of order. So I was looking one day online on Facebook when Facebook Reels first came out, and I'm watching this guy with a wood miser saw. If you guys are into cutting wood, you'll understand, making lumber. And this guy is running this wood miser on this big log, and I noticed this little ad down at the bottom, and I looked at it, and it said, new pleasant depression treatment. She can walk to your home, hotel, or condo and be amazed by her. And when I clicked on it, this is what I got. Is that a normal depression treatment? I didn't go any further than that. Another one that I found on Facebook Marketplace, you look up above, there's a 250-gallon spray rig, there's a tool, and then here's an ad. Our masseurs will surprise you with something special. They wouldn't put the other thing on here because some of the folks on the team say that I get too graphic or it's too ugly. I found some pictures and they won't let me put them on here because they say I'll get in trouble. I just turned over to the investigators. I saw a picture of a girl who was advertising her shoes for sale, and she's wearing her shoes. You can see her from here down. All she's wearing is shoes for $25. Does anybody really believe it's shoes that she's selling? This one, I try not to think about. Now, I don't have the ability to take one of these ads and run back and find out who posted it, what town is it coming from, or what server it's coming from, or who's the one actually doing it. This was on a thing called Sexy Stallions. The other picture of this girl, the team said, under no circumstances can I put it up here because it's blatantly obvious this little black girl is about 8, 9 years old, maybe 10. This little girl is not destined to be a mom in the PTA. She is not destined to be a mom at the soccer game or T-ball. This little girl is a piece of property that some pimp is making money off of because some perverts pay lots of money to rape little girls. And it's happening here in Texas. I've got 2 boys. I've got 1 granddaughter. Abby's 4 years old. She is the most beautiful child that has ever drawn a breath of air. And it's not just because I'm a granddaddy, it's just got to be the truth. I'm a nice guy. Ask anybody in Canton that knows me, I'm a really nice guy. In less than 10 years, pervert's going to be looking at Abby and thinking things. You know what? I'm 59 years old. I have had a good life. I've done a lot of really cool things. I've backpacked in the mountains and collapsed a lung in knee-deep snow and still took a week before I got to the doctor. And I can tell stories on and on about how grand my life is. If it comes to an end tomorrow because somebody did something to my granddaughter, I'm okay with that. I'd like to be an old man. But if my life ends tomorrow defending my granddaughter, that's okay. This little black girl didn't have anybody defending her. Right now, she has no hope. Right now, what we'd like to do is Shepherd's Watch. We like an emergency shelter for minors, a forensic RV, where they can go out to a site where they make a bust and they can get the rest of the DNA samples and the intel that they need to finish these things. That's way too expensive for us. Everybody on the team volunteers their time. We've got licensed private investigators who have to earn a living. So there may be one of them who tonight is out chasing some dude who's cheating on his wife, and they're going to be out till 2 o'clock in the morning, and then tomorrow morning going to be working on another case because that's what they do for a living, that's what they choose. And somehow they figure out how to put some time in here to do a drive-by and take a picture of a cartel house and get a license plate on a vehicle so we can write it down and say, so this dude's in this cartel. We don't pay him a dime. We want to do street advocacy on the tribal reservation in Oklahoma. See, it's like a different country. You can't just come and go and you just can't do some things. And they found out that, if they got contacts inside the reservation, it's easier to get away with this. That's terrible. We want to continue the development of our proprietary program of investigative intelligence. Boy, this sounds cool. Okay, so we got an intelligence team of guys that are like total Coke bottle glass nerds, okay? And they know computers like you can't believe, and they've got some computer technology. We have to pay $10,000 a month for this. I am not about to tell you what it can do, but I'll tell you this. You give us this much intelligence, and we will hunt you down and find you. A good example, slap me if I go too far.
Okay.
One of the PIs was just doing their job and said to a spouse, "Can I see your bank statement?" Why? I want to see everything that your spouse is doing, your husband. And so I looked and said, "Why is it every other Friday there's a $1,500 payment?" Well, that's his gambling debt. Wow, what are the odds you always lose $1,500 every other week, and you do it for months on end? You always lose. So they said, "I smell a rat," and they started looking. Okay, so they found 3 pimps, more than 10 women. One of the pimps is pimping out his sister, possibly his mother. And then they've got these extremely expensive houses that they paid cash for. And it just own and own. And then he owns a trucking company, and as a good PI, they drive by, take a picture, and then call me up and say, "And this is how I got sucked into the vortex on this because I'm in financial services and I know money laundering." And they said, "I don't get it. He claims to have this trucking company, but the windows are boarded up. The tires on the old cab over Mac are dry rotted. It can't even drive." I said, "There you go." I said, "What?" I said, "That's how they're laundering the money. They're telling the IRS we're making this huge sum of money. They're paying their taxes. They look at the return and say, 'Man, you could have done some other deductions. We're not going to breathe a word. You pay your taxes and we're all happy.' Money hits the banking system and it's legit from that point on." $1 million a year. And it all started from the entry looks odd. So that's what we're working on, and it's outrageously expensive, but I'm telling you, it's mind-boggling what it can do.
Can I say something about that real quick?
Yes.
So this is computer software program, which is probably more than I should say. It's very, very high security. I'm trying to watch my words. But it speeds up our intelligence gathering by 75%. We don't have to put a PI on a hotel or a house or follow somebody. This technology is insane. It's something that you see in the movies. Yes, it's expensive, but it's actually saving us money because we don't have to have PIs 75% of the time, paying them hourly to go out and do all this stuff. So,
Yeah. We still want to do some more NETAT, Northeast Texas Alliance Against Trafficking meetings. We're going to try to have one in Frisco, Plano area in February. You're all invited.
yes, and there's a sign-up sheet over here. Sorry, Ben. These are only quarterly. We promise we won't spam you. You will only get invitations to our Northeast Texas Alliance Against Trafficking meetings. They're open to the public. It's not just us talking. We actually facilitate the meetings, but it's going to be law enforcement talking. It's going to be our other organizations, rehabilitation centers, victim services, children advocacy center. Those partners of ours with the coalition will come and you'll get to meet all those people, and we'll give you updates every quarter on what's going on in the community. Sorry, thank you. Please sign up.
So, in summary, Northeast Texas, actually all of Texas, has a sex trafficking problem. Shepherd's Watch Foundation, another anti-trafficking organization and law enforcement, need the community citizen involvement to help us stop this industry. The wide open border policy has increased the amount of traffic victims by staggering amounts. And we're dedicated to assisting law enforcement in our community with boots on the ground, professional investigative intelligence. And I thought of something I meant to start off with this. There are some people who think that prostitution isn't that bad. And if you look at places that legalized it, like out in Nevada, they said, well, here's this 30-year-old woman, and she was promiscuous in high school and promiscuous at college. And she's down on her luck, and she's got a bad habit of going to bars and let a guy buy her a drink, and then they go party a little bit. And now she'll accept $100 from some guy to sleep with her, and it's not that we're putting lipstick on a pig, right? And we're trying to tell you that it's a unicorn. Very little of what goes on is that way. A couple of years ago, I saw, and this bothers me because I deleted the thing, and now that I don't have it, we can't go back and find the original post and chase it down. But there was a girl in Terrell who was taken by a Romeo recruit, a boyfriend, and they went to Six Flags. And the story is, because the cops caught him and asked, he said, well, she met another friend, and I was ready to go home, and she wanted to stay at Six Flags, and he said he'd take her home, so I just left her with him. What's his name? I don't know. What kind of vehicle? I think it was a red car, but it might have been a white car. He boyfriended her, took her to Dallas, handed her off. He got away scot-free. He got paid money for this girl. She's now either dead or strung out on drugs and turning tricks. That's what happens with most of them. Almost every single time you bust one of these things, you will find drugs involved. And the girls, 99% of the time, are heavily addicted to something. It's not a victimless crime. Yeah, how can you help? Number one, pray. Pray. Pray for the safety of the team, because we do have, I found another cartel house in Canton. It's a cartel house. I think it's a drug house, because after the blue truck is there, the next 2 days, there's cars from all over, Longview, Greenville, and just cars in and out and all that. I think they're moving fentanyl through there. I got a good reason to believe that. But okay, so when I told one of the investigators that, they said, I can't believe it, and drove up and started taking pictures. You can only do that so many times and get caught. Pray for our success. If the folks running this one right by the school find out that the world knows, they're going to leave. The word don't need to get out. Cops need to bust them. Because if they leave, they're just going to set up somewhere else and get smarter. Talk with your elected officials. Find out where they stand on it. If they say, well, it's really not a problem, tell them at the next Shepherd's Watch meeting, next NCAT meeting, I will personally sit next to you, and when it's over with, you can look at me and tell me that it's not a problem. And if you can look me in the eye and tell me it's not a problem, it'll be a $100 bill. But if when the meeting's over, you can't say that to me, then you got to say I'm sorry and do something about it. Don't scream, holler, throw rocks, cuss them. That's not going to make a positive impact. A real calm, cool, collected. I just want you to know I'm a voter, and I'm concerned about this. And I have friends. I found in Canton it works because I got 2,300 and some odd Facebook friends. The last thing they want is Ben Henley saying something about them. Volunteer to help elect the right people. Help the right person get elected. Oh, I want to say something so bad I can't say it in the crowd. McKinney needs some work.
Amen.
McKinney, Collin County needs some work. There may be some arrests, I hope so. Advocate, be an advocate, be heard, tell others, stand up, don't be shy. And if people hate you for standing up for little kids, it's okay. It's okay. Hate me. Hey, my name is Ben Henley. Throw rocks at me. I will defend that child all day, every day, till I can't breathe anymore. And here's the good part. Can you give us some money? No joke. It's 10 grand a month. When we drive across the state of Texas to go take pictures or something, like they were actually calling in somebody to try to put on the glasses that have the camera and the audio because cops are very limited how they can get this stuff. They already know it. I saw a YouTube video. Here's how you go into a massage parlor and get sex for pay. You got to be careful, because if you walk in there and you ask, they instantly say no because they think you're a cop. It's illegal for the cops to take their clothes off. So if the guy takes his clothes off, he's down in his underwear, the girl can then say, he was so handsome, I just felt the urge. I just gave in. They can actually get off of it. So cops can't do that. You know, so some of these guys will go in there and strip down their skivvies, and they'll run the video and all that kind of stuff. They do it on their own time out of their pocket. What we would like to do eventually, after we get this software running all the time, is then tell one of the investigators, you know, you do this for a living, but we want to book you 5 days this month, and we want to book you 5 days next month, and we want to descend on, oh, I don't know, maybe the city of McKinney. I want you to come here and spend 5 days, get all the pictures, get it all, and go in there and hand it to, it may go to the FBI, because it may be big enough that it does that kind of stuff. It takes money. We're a shoestring operation, you know? There's some ways to do this. Oh, there we go. Okay. PayPal. You can go to the website. We've got an Amazon wish list. I believe one of the neat things when we did the Amazon wish list, they gave us these emergency first aid kits that are designed for people that are gunshot victims. It's a very real possibility. It's a very real possibility. I personally have found 2 different cartel houses in Van Zandt County. One of them, I believe, is Sinaloa, and one of them is Jalisco. Jalisco's right now are killing about 500 people a month down in Mexico because they're in this big fight over a city to bring fentanyl to Laredo and into Texas. Yes, my bag is even bigger than the one that the Shepherd's Watch guys have. Mine's a full-size backpack. I can handle all kinds of stuff in mine. Mail a check to Shepherd's Watch Foundation, Post Office Box 1042, Canton, Texas 75103. And I had a guy one time tell me when he was trying to raise money for the Boy Scouts, he said, take your checkbook, think how much would I like to give, write the check out for that much, tear it out and look at it and say, am I gonna feel that? Or is that like me buying a Coke for somebody? You don't really feel it if you buy somebody a Coke. And if you don't really feel it, tear it up and write another check for twice that much. Pull it out, look at it. Am I gonna feel that? If the answer is no, tear that check up, write another one for twice that much. Write a check for something where you feel, because it makes a difference. It makes a big difference. We're gonna go as far as we can with our very last breath. And I'll tell you this, we're not selling what we do, but if McKinney raises a bunch of money for us, you know where the next stop for Shepherd's Watch team is? McKinney. Because if the folks in McKinney are willing to write the checks to get the job done, that's where we're gonna work.
And I would say also follow them on social media if you're on Facebook or X. I have a lot of X spaces with them on Twitter, X, and there's people from all over the country that join these, that just get the advocacy out, make people aware of what's going on. There's usually one every Tuesday on Twitter. But guys, this is a great group, and they're doing the work in the trenches that a lot of people don't have the courage to do. And Ben, I just want to say one thing about the border. A lot of you know I've been at the border for several months on a political campaign. I can tell you, talking to border agents, talking to DPS, when those children cross that river just like an adult, more so than the adults, they're given a different name. When they cross that river, they're not who they were when they left Mexico. That's why we have so many missing children in this country. That is coming straight from Border Patrol. We've had 32 border agents take their own life this year. Last year, 32 border agents.
God.
Because of what they're putting up with down there. I know that the border gets kind of political, but understand that myself, some others in this room, Mark Eisman, who's been with me, when you see middle-aged grown men come across that border with children, and there's no females with them, what do you think's running through our mind? And we can't touch it. We can't help it. But what we can do is we can bring awareness. We can go to school board meetings and council meetings. We can go to commission meetings. We can meet with our sheriff, our constables. Know who your legislators are. I don't care if they've got an R beside their name, if they've got a D or an I beside their name. I don't care. What I want is action. They need to reach out. They need to start paying attention to what Shepherd's Watch and some other people are doing. But we cannot make a difference if we don't speak up. These children have no voice. They have no power. They don't know what courage is. But we do. We need to start expressing that to save these children.
And not just the illegals. So I got intel from a nurse not long ago It had been turned over to law enforcement 3.5, 4 months ago, and apparently nothing's been done. Of an 11-year-old girl who about every 6 to 8 weeks has to be treated for STDs.
Well, and I'll say this, in Collier County especially, where I'm pretty active, I mean, I've got Satanists coming after me, I've got everybody coming after me, because I speak up with others. Guys, I don't care. We're gonna have to understand that we are in a spiritual war in this country. That's what this is. This is good versus evil. The only way to do that is to spread more good. We have to bond together as a community, as a county. And it's just as bad in Denton County, it's bad in Grayson County, it's bad out where Ben lives in Canton. This is everywhere. I'm gonna post some numbers on the only reason I'm not doing it is because I'm going live here. But when I get home, I'm gonna post some numbers that Shepherd Watch gave me today of online escort sites and active brothels. You're gonna be shocked by the numbers. I don't care if you're in Tioga, I don't care if you're in Collinsville, you're in Gunner, wherever you are, your small town is not exempt from what's going on with these kids. McKinney's worse. Plano's bad, Allen's bad. But it doesn't mean that just because you live 30, 40 miles from the Mexico, you're not affected. You are. We see these numbers keep going up. They just keep skyrocketing. We have to stop that. We have to get involved.
Question time.
Before we do that, just real quick, if you can't donate, we totally understand. There's so many other ways that you can help us, volunteer, reach out to me. We will come and talk to any group. It could be 2 people at your house and we'll come talk, okay? We do that for free. We'll go to high schools, Rotary clubs, it doesn't matter what kind of group
Is there
it
anywhere in the Metroplex?
Yes, all over DFW, yes. Sorry, I just want to say that, so please, we would love to come talk to anybody you would like us to talk to. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
So you basically, where in Texas are you?
Yes. I live in Canton.
I know about that.
I'm in a colony.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We're actually spaced out all over the state. And then there's some investigators I've never met. I don't know their name. I don't even know their code nickname.
I'm just going to
Oh, okay.
The question I have is family court situation, where you have a parent, 2 parents fighting over kids. And it, I guess eventually gets put to CPS and whatever. What percentage of those kids are you guys finding that are from these broken home situations and stuff like that? Do you guys have any statistics on this?
Okay, well, that's a loaded question because with our experience, CPS, and we found this out the hard way, they will only assist with familial, meaning it's a family member that has started trafficking their person, their kid, or if it's a guardian. If it's a stranger and it's a child, we can't call CPS. CPS won't have anything to do with it. That's why we need these emergency shelters so much. I would have to talk to our lead investigator. She has a couple of cases right now that she's dealing with divorces.
Could you use the microphone?
Yeah.
Oh, it's stuff.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, it's stuff that we can't really talk about. I think the majority of what we've been working on recently is more not familial, but we found that out the hard way. So these poor law enforcement officers are calling our lead investigator at 11 o'clock at night saying, I think this is a trafficking situation. Because I have 3 kids in the back seat of the car, and I don't think that's really their uncle. But there's nowhere to take them.
I know we
Yes.
get $500 billion in the state of Texas and how it's funded, and I'll talk to you about that.
Okay, well, I'm gonna stop you now. What's your name? Vicky, nice to meet you. I'm Stacy, thank you. I would love to talk to you more about it. Thank you.
You said something reminded me of something that I heard not long ago talking to one of the judges in Van Zandt County. Van Zandt County, the biggest city is Canton, population 3,800. Everybody's in church on Sunday. Last year we had 3 cases that went to court of parents who were pimping out children under the age of 10 for drug money. Their own child. So if Van Zandt County had 3 of them, how many did we have going on in McKinney? Or Collin County? If they didn't get caught, we don't know. Like she was talking about the recordables. If it doesn't go through this certain portal to get reported, then they say it never happened. Yes, sir.
Question, I know that the homeless
is increasing as well. So have you any data to correlate on the homelessness as well as trafficking as well?
Can you repeat
Off the
that,
top of my
please?
head, I don't. I'm sure there's some there, because anytime you see somebody who's vulnerable, you can then capture them and enslave them.
Let me just capture the question. So my question was around homelessness. I know, just me taking my training in these hours every day, the homelessness is increasing. I know a young lady I work with, she does homeless out here in McKinney, and I know that number is just increasing. So I don't know if there's any correlation of data between homelessness and trafficking.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I know I've seen some YouTube videos where in the homeless group, it's up in New Jersey, they were talking, almost all the girls were actively involved in prostitution because they had to have money for the drugs, they had to have money for the food. And it was like, if I land over here, this is the road I'm going on. It's ugly. Yes, sir.
I have a couple of questions. One's for Chad up here. Chad, 2 questions. You guys ever talk amongst yourselves and the school board about the situation behind closed doors? What do you guys ever talk about? Does it ever come up? And secondly, I know Kyle over here has a wonderful relationship with the mayor. But you know, you guys talk about these numbers in McKinney. That's where my concern is. I got to take care of the home team. And my concern is, does the mayor know these numbers? I mean, does he know these numbers? Has he ever said to anybody, what are we going to do? You know,
I personally met with the mayor probably 7 months ago.
Wasn't that long ago.
Was that long ago?
No,
6
maybe-
months, 5 months?
No, maybe less than 3 months ago.
She's got a better memory, 3 months. Met with him at a undisclosed location and told him about this. And this was a time that school board races were going on. And he basically said, yeah, let's meet. Let's talk about it. I'll also add the superintendent of schools were there. And their word. This is why I can't be the only voice in McKinney. I can't be the only voice in Collin County. We need multiple voices. When we go to a school board meeting, we have the same 25 or 30 people show up and speak. And we're called racist and homophobes and goes on and on and on. We need voices. Some of these people that go to these board meetings are in this room. But we have to get our churches involved. We have to get our co-workers involved. If we have the same 20 or 30 people showing up and spouting the same thing over and over every month, these guys have no bearing. We don't care. If 150 people show up like they do in Fort Worth, they make policy changes. And I will tell you all real quick, I don't know how many know about this, about the bus incident in Prosper last year, where 2 girls were molested on a bus for over a year by a bus driver. CDF has been involved in this. Those parents still don't have answers. This guy took his own life at the county jail. But we still don't have answers about why it happened. The superintendent got a raise, and she got an extended contract, but we still don't know about what happened. She didn't report it.
The parents didn't even know about it.
They didn't even know about it. McKinney just had an incident not too long ago that a bus driver went on a strange route 20 miles down 75. Did y'all know about that?
30 kids in the bus.
30 kids on the bus. They say she got lost because she didn't know the route. School board doesn't care. When we went to talk about this at the last meeting, they were smirking behind their cadenza, writing on their tablets, looking at each other, laughing. People, this is why it's so important to get your butt off your couch and get to a meeting. You can watch these meetings online, but when your presence is there and you're speaking and you're calling them out directly, that's where change comes from. But we cannot do it by ourselves. I got a loud voice and I can get pretty pissed off. But we need 50, 60, 75 people to be pissed off.
I totally agree. It's easy to ignore a text or an email.
Absolutely. it is.
It's easy to say, you know what, I didn't get it, that one didn't arrive. But if somebody walks up to you and says, hi, my name is Ben Henley. Eddie Roberts. Eddie Roberts. Eddie, I'm here to talk to you about, he can't ignore that, can he? And if 45 people come along, I'm gonna wait till Ben's done, and then I'm gonna introduce myself to you. After a while, you figure out it's something important. Same thing. Bet these people that are running for office, goodness gracious, they're supposed to represent you. Politely make them represent you. Yes, Ms. Harmon?
So, a year ago, when we were talking to you, there was a lot of discussion about the 17-year-old loophole, and I don't think I've heard that tonight. Is that still an issue?
Yeah.
Was there legislation that met that issue, or what's, have you expound that a little bit?
There's no legislation yet, but, I can talk briefly to this. Our lead investigator has a lot more information on this, but you guys remember the pie chart where I showed you the age, the different ages and the sex trafficking victims, and it was 9 to 17 was the biggest group. Predators really target 17-year-olds. Most of them are still in high school because in the state of Texas, you can supposedly agree to sex as a 17-year-old.
Age of consent.
Age of consent, thank you. You have the age of consent. So it's very, very difficult to charge these perpetrators when they have a 17-year-old. So they really go after 17-year-olds. So Carmen, I'm glad that you asked the question because I really want you to come up here in a little bit. Carmen Rocket has been working with us for almost 3 years now. And if you want to talk to somebody and bitch and moan or whatever, call Carmen. She's in McKinney, in the 3rd district. And she is absolutely fantastic. She backs us, she supports us. She has been trying to help us introduce legislation to make the 17-year-old be not age of consent when it comes to trafficking. We have a lot of parents that freak out when we start talking about this because they're like, oh my God, my son who's having sex with his, girlfriend in high school, I don't want him to get arrested. Like, we don't care about that crap. We're talking about trafficking. We're not talking about kids having sex, boyfriend and girlfriend in high school. We're talking about trafficking situations. So we are currently still working with our council people on hopefully getting some legislation that will bridge that gap and make, when it's a trafficking situation, that they cannot consent at the age of 17. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. I don't have any new news for that, but Carmen, thank you.
Jackie.
Jeff, go ahead.
She go ahead.
Hi.
Good.
I'm from Denton County, Frisco. It's pretty bad as well. I would love to talk to y'all, bring you to attend some of the meetings that I attend.
We'll come wherever you want us to come.
I am part of a campaign for an emergency room position. I was running for this Senate. And we were talking the other day, and she has been in situations where in the emergency room when she knows because the doctors are taught to look for these things. She called an 800 number, no answer. Right. Called police, they can't do a thing. So the one association that does the same thing here, similar to y'all's, I contacted them, so they were going to contact her. I don't know if she has or not, but I'm definitely going to give y'all.
Yep.
She's supposed to meet with me too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is why local is such a big deal if you know local. You want to donate or support local organizations so that you know you have somebody to go to.
Yeah, I gave him your number, Kyle.
I would like to hear more about that, Jackie.
Okay.
Remember,
Yeah.
going back to the bus driver situation in McKinney, whenever the bus driver picked up the kids from the school, she supposedly got lost on her route, and she ended up, where did she end up?
Ended up in Richardson.
In Richardson. Now that's, if you make a wrong turn, you just make a U-turn and get back on your route, don't you? She was in, what was she doing in Richardson?
She was in
Nobody knows.
Where was she taking these children? Where was she taking these children?
All the security devices on the bus were disabled, were broken. All of them. She has at least 5 aliases on her record, and each one of those aliases has a police record.
She had 3 felonies also, I believe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
5 different aliases.
so I can tell you that my wife and I both retired from the school system. I was 32 years in Plano and Frisco. I got a background check every couple of years. I think it might have been every year. Why did a bus driver that worked for a secondhand Durham bus services get hired to drive your children and grandchildren around when she had felonies on record and had 5 aliases?
5 aliases.
How did she get hired? This, again, I hate to keep repeating myself, this is why you attend board meetings.
Well, and neither the busing company nor the school district would tell the parents the name of the bus driver. They had a picture and were able to do facial recognition.
Correct.
So, and the parents had to actually go to the police department because the superintendent wasn't going to have the police open up a case. The bus driver wasn't tested for drugs or alcohol, which to me was the least they could have done. He actually released the bus driver before the police ever got to the bus.
That is correct. And I'll throw one more incident in there real quick. So I went up to Talga ISD and spoke a couple of months ago. I don't have all the details on this, but from my understanding, we had a young lady that was still in school. One of her teachers was sending her inappropriate messages through text. This went through a huge battle with the parents. She went against her parents. 2 days after she graduated, she moved in with that teacher and his family. These parents were devastated. They actually reached out to me, which prompted me to go up there and speak. Again, we had a school board that is complacent. They don't care what you say. But miraculously, these people, even in McKinney ISD, these board members don't like us. They don't care what we have to say because we're the same ones that come over and over and over every month.
We're the troublemakers.
We're the troublemakers. We're the ones that just want to stir up trouble in McKinney. No, what we want to do is try to save another child from being molested or trafficked is what we're trying to save. I mean, folks, you have to really let this sink in and do some deep soul searching to understand they're coming after the children. We're just in the way. We're making their life difficult by calling them out. The only way we're going to make a difference and make policy change and get these people out of office is to, number 1, get educated, number 2, hold them accountable, and number 3, you got to vote. And I said earlier, and I mean this with everything in my body, I don't care what initiative you have beside your name when you're running for office. If you're not going to protect these children, I have no use for you. No use for you.
I have one more thing to say.
I have a
What?
question.
Yeah, here's a question.
Okay. Go ahead. I just want to kind of hurry this up because it's,
Is it on? Okay. What we allow will only continue.
Absolutely.
yep.
Question over here.
I have my question is, what do y'all have any, what's the word I'm looking for? Y'all do any services about babies that are stolen, infants? Because that's sex trafficking, or that's trafficking in itself. My wife and I became parents for the first time 16 months ago. And so that's the biggest, we have a daughter. And that's the biggest thing when I'm out, when we're out, one of us with her by ourselves, you know, just like going up to Kroger or somewhere and our backs turned for just that split second, something can happen. And that's probably my wife's biggest fear. If she was here, that's probably what she would be saying. What do y'all have?
We don't actively work on that kind of case. Now, I'll tell you this, knowing the heart of the people on the team, if something happened that we could get something on, they'd jump on it. They would do it. A year or so ago, I was in Walmart there in Canton, and I had been warned by one of the investigators because they saw some dude taking pictures of women as they were coming out of Walmart, had a certain gray vehicle with a dent, certain quarter panel, and I drove in, I said, hey, he's got a dent in the right rear. I wonder if it's the same guy. So I roll by and I snap a picture. You know, I'm trying to be super cool, and I'm not that good. It took me 2 weeks to get it. I'm not good like some of the others. But anyway, so I forwarded it over to one of the investigators and said, hey, this is that dude that's taking pictures of women. He's over here. What can you tell me off his license plate? Well, he lives in Gun Barrel City and he works in Tyler. He's 40 to 45 miles off the line between his house to where he works over here. He has no business being in Canton. Oh, and he has an aggravated sexual assault of a child on his record. And he's taking pictures of girls coming in and out of Walmart in Canton. So, there was a quick trip to the local police department, and here's the picture, and here's all the intel. If you see him, could you put some heat on him? And bless his heart, he made a bad turn in front of a cop the next day. And so, he quit coming to Canton. But then Thursday, Friday before Christmas, we had two guys in that Walmart. I've got photographs of them trying to get teenage girls to go out in the parking lot. Guy's about 60, 65 years old. 13-year-old girl, when she steps away from her grandmother, hands her a note. We've got a copy of the note where he says there's a big party out of town. If you meet me in the parking lot, there's free transportation. You'll have a good time. It won't cost you anything. Just meet me in the parking lot.
Yep.
Came that far from happening. I have a friend who works at Walmart who saw it and was watching at a distance while doing their job and saw that when Grandma stepped away, he reached over and handed her that note. And that's when they went kind of ballistic in the middle of the situation and blew it up.
And most of y'all follow me on social media, but Shepherd's Watch has been gracious enough to trust me with information. And I take that information and I post it. I share it. I share numbers. I can tell you, my wife will tell you, that when we're out shopping, when she's out shopping, I'm just a guy. But when we're out shopping, I'm not watching her.
Yep.
I'm watching all around me.
Everywhere.
You got to.
I'm watching everything happening around me. I know who followed me in to that parking lot. I know where they park. I know if they follow me out. I know when they turn off. My mind's programmed to watch for that now.
And let me tell you
I
what
watch
goes on
kids.
a lot in Prosper.
Prosper, Texas is a hub for
At
people to
Preston
meet and follow.
Road and 380, that shopping center
Yes.
is bad. The
It
moms
is.
are
Almost
always
every day on
complaining.
social media, you'll see another story about a mom with children being followed around a store, being followed out of the parking lot. Yeah. Prosper at 380.
380 in Preston.
The new shopping center out
TJ
there.
Maxx and all those.
TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Ross, Burlington, Roadhouse, Walmart.
Right.
Guys, be careful when you're out there. You hear me say a lot, be safe, be vigilant, always be courageous, never waver to fear. I say that for a reason. You have to be vigilant. You gotta be safe. You also need to have the courage to speak up. When you see something or hear something, say something.
Hey, we need to wind up at 8:40. Some of us have a 2.5 hour drive. I don't want to leave with a question not answered. Come up here and visit with us. Again, I'm going to ask you if you can write us a check. We love it. If you want to do cash, hey, you can put it in my hat, whatever. We'll give you a receipt and all that kind of stuff. But get active. Stay tuned to Kyle. Get on the Facebook site of ours. And I think we have an X page as well. Follow what we do.
And one other thing
Let's
to bear in
rescue some
mind,
kids.
the preacher has been gracious to me for years to open up his facility. Chad's running the sound for us. If you got a couple of bucks, drop them in one of the boxes back there, just to help them pay for what they did for us tonight. God bless all of you. If you don't have my number, want it, I've got some cards. Shepherd Watch has some cards. Get active. God bless y'all. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. What you need? Over here.
Thank you.
Here you go.
Thank you guys so much for coming. Does anybody need my card? Everybody's got my card, I think.
Do I have it? I don't have a.
I don't think.
Let me have
I'll
another
take
one.
one.
That you have to carry.
I know. Oh, wait, I do have
Oh, you
one
do
right
have
here.
one. You got
I do
one?
know I
Okay,
had
let me
one.
have it.
You can have it. Hey guys, I hope that you learned something. I hope that this was beneficial to somebody. Hey Doofus. I found one, thank you.
Thank you.
But so this is, I wasn't sure what to expect tonight, and so I'm really, in a way, I hate to say pleasantly surprised because of the subject matter, but yeah, we gotta all start doing our part. So I hope that somebody heard something that helps, and definitely get involved with your local politicians, with your school board meetings, get in there. So I'll see you guys later. Have a good one.